Hi everyone, welcome once again to the program Shagalinku TV. Today is the Saturday's edition of the program, and this is welcoming you to the show. First of all, let me start the program by thanking everyone who sent birthday prayers, birthday wishes, gifts, and calls. Thank you so much. 7th October was my birthday. That was on Wednesday. And thanks to everyone who joined us, everyone who sent me messages. I truly appreciate. So, on behalf of all of us here on Shagalinku TV, want to say thank you. World Mental Health Day is today. Every 10th of October, the world commemorates the World Mental Health Day. And that's why we're looking at mental health today. Why are people not taking mental health issues very seriously? General health per se is something people like are used to. Pregnant women go to the hospital, people who are diabetic, people who are asthmatic, and others. When people have malaria, they quickly run and get medicines for it. But then people are also not taking into cognizance their mental health status and try to make sure that they find solutions to it. Today, I'll be talking with a woman whose NGO is currently doing something about that, and we're looking at how can we begin to tackle the issues of depression, drug addiction, and even suicide mission, because sometimes these three just go alongside. So today, I have with me a wonderful guest. This is like her second time on the show. I'd like to welcome her to the show. Welcome, Madam Obioma Agoziem.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. It's always a pleasure. Okay, like you've already know, and you've been in the field of mental health issues. Every 10th of October is World Mental Health Day. Tell us more about this. But before you even tell us about that, we'd like you to tell us more. There are some things we may not know about you. There are some things we may not know about your organization. We'd like you to tell us who Madam Obioma Agoziem is, what you do, your organization, and then we'll come back and talk about the World Mental Health Day.
Okay, thank you so much, Emmanuel, for inviting me. I appreciate that. My name is Obioma Evelyn Agoziem. I'm the Executive Director of Center for Corrections and Human Development. It's a non-governmental organization. We are dedicated to youth development and empowerment. We pay particular attention to social deviance. By social deviance, we are looking at traffic victims, we are looking at drug addicts, prisoners, and all individuals with dysfunctional life. We profile programs, correctional programs for them. We train and empower them. So that is basically who we are and what we do. And we are located in Lagos, Nigeria. And we have done a lot of work with the youth, and we are still doing more and more with them. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. And to our viewers, if you want to drop your comments or you want to tell us a little about how you think we can curb or tackle the issues of depression, drug addiction, and suicide, the comment section is there. Please drop your comments there and we'll be reading it alongside as we talk with our guest. You also have a question for our guest, and maybe you want to know more about our organization. She'll be sharing her social media details of our organization as we go on the program, and you'll also get to hear more about what our organization does as the program progresses. Okay, madam, and let me also say, yeah, a lot of people complain that they can't always reach us via the comment section and that they would like to send text messages while the program is on. So yes, the number is scrolling on the screen. It's +238 +234 8054383460. The number is scrolling on the screen. So yes, you can be part of the program. Just send us a text message to share your opinions, or you can also call with that number. We'll pick it up, and our guests will be here to either answer your questions, take your comments or opinions as the program progresses. So it's all encompassing. A lot of people say by the time they try to drop their messages or join the guest, the network is giving them issues. So that's why we're putting the phone lines there. +234 8054383460. So you drop your comments as a text or a WhatsApp message, or you even just call us straight up while we talk with our guest, and she'll be here to answer your questions. Okay. Madam Obioma, let's even come back to you again. So, why every 10th of October is World Mental Day? Why do we think we need to also commemorate and talk to people more about mental issues?
Okay, thank you so much. It actually started in 1992. That is October 10. Before then, you have a World Federation of Mental Health. They usually hold annual events, and of course, that organization started since 1948. They've been on, and they usually have annual events. So by 1992 October, they now made it international events, whereby it will be marked in the whole world. It's no more just going to be their own event, but it's an event that is supposed to be for everybody. And the purpose of the event is to promote mental health advocacy. It's also to educate the public and on how to improve a quality mental health care. And of course, to sensitize the world about mental health and the issues that are around mental health, and how everybody can come up to do something about mental health. And particularly this year, the theme is mental health for all. And so the emphasis is on scaling up investment on mental health, because if you check around, you find that is an aspect of health that is hardly heard or is not popular, like physical health. And even when you look at budgets, even not just in Nigeria, even in so many countries, the budget on mental health is usually very low, like 2 or even some countries 1% goes to mental health. That goes have to show or tell you that not enough emphasis are made on mental health. So the essence of this year is to scale up investment, to scale up awareness, to scale up attention to mental health, so that the authorities, the individuals, corporations, public um, 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 communities will be conscious of it and begin to find ways of supporting mental health programs.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank you
so
very
much.
much
Yeah.
for taking thank you for taking us through all that. So let's even come back to Africa and Nigeria particularly. When people hear mental health, especially when people are depressed, or when people go through trauma like shock, like loss of jobs, COVID-19, stay at home and lockdown affected a whole lot of people. And then when you tell people as a social worker that mental health checkups are very important, they begin to shy away because a lot of people see mental health issues as the person don't decrease. So how do we begin to build up the mindset of people to begin to seek counseling, to begin to also seek regular checkups? So as they check their BP, people should also begin to check for their mental health status. How do we even begin to get people to buy into that idea? Because the moment people feel stigmatized already when there are rape issues, there are other issues, but when people people feel sort of when they get people see them walk to a psychologist or a physiotherapist office or someone's office to seek advice and all that, and they're like, you we saw so person going into that office, it'd be like say don't decrease. So how do we begin to make sure people understand that early checkups too for mental issues could help them not get it tilt to the wrong side?
Okay, thank you so much. To start with, the even major question is, what is mental health? Mental health is a state of psychological and emotional well-being. It is that sense of mental illness. Mental health involves what you think, how you feel, even how you act. Mental health also involves how you respond to things, the choices you make, and the way you're even able to cope with stress and other things. So you can see that mental health is all encompassing. Most times when you mention mental health, people tend to look at issue of actual mental madness and all of that. It's part of it, but there are even other subtle mental illnesses that people overlook, that people downplay. And when you is the culmination of all of that that now will result to the ones we are used to and the ones we know. So that's why mental health has to do with psychology, your emotions, your social thing, activities you get involved in. These are the things about mental health. And so that's why the emphasis is on, people understanding that mental health is all encompassing, the way we react, the way at times you talk to some people and it's not always obvious, but by the time you go further, you just will discover that something is not right with this discussion. It's along the way that you find out that this person is probably incoherent. It's along the way that you realize that there's something not right about that person. And all of these are indicators that there are some implications or issues of mental health. So these are the different areas or dimensions of mental health. And so the idea is that every one of us, like in the course of this program, we'll begin to look at the identifying marks, the warning signs, so that by the time you see these things happening to you or somebody, the best thing to do is seek help, to look for a professional and offer yourself for help, because at times you don't even know that is happening to you. You don't even understand it, and by the time you know it, then it's begin to degenerate into other things. That's when people now know that there's a problem. But these are early marks, that there are problems. I was discussing with a couple, a lady recently, and as we were talking, the kind of question she was asking and what she was demanding, it was clear to me that something was already happening to her mental health. And as at this time, she's not even aware of it, but I knew that the demands of that marriage, the domestic abuse is taking a hard toll on her that is already affecting her mental health. So these are the importance of seeing a professional early enough who will be able to pick it up and then help the person to come out of it. So these are the ideas why we are doing, sensitizing people. If you don't know what to do, just seek help. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're still on. The program is Shagalinku TV. It comes your way every Saturdays and Tuesdays, 2 p.m. West African time. And today we're looking at the issue of mental health as we celebrate World Mental Health Day. It comes every 10th of October. And we're here to lend our voice. And I have with me the Executive Director of Center for Corrections and Human Development, Lagos, Nigeria, Madam Obioma Evelyn Agoziem, as she talks to us on a lot of issues. We'll be here receiving your messages and we'll be reading them shortly. So you can join us by clicking on the comment section right now and drop your opinions, your comments, your views, or questions for our guest, and she'll be replying. And don't also forget to like our YouTube page, also our Twitter and our Instagram page. For all the social medias, handle is at Shagalinku TV. It's very important that you also click on the notification button for YouTube so that every time we come on air, you'll be notified and then you will join us. So we're streaming live on two platforms, both on YouTube and on Facebook. So you can drop your comments on any of the platforms and it will pop up here and we'll be reading them. Let me go back over to Madam Obioma and ask her a few questions. Now, let's even come to your organization. How do you cope with some of the cases you get, knowing that mental health issues are, are peculiar issues? So they are not the regular, like malaria treatment where it's like a routine. You come in, doctors see you, and then they prescribe medicines for you. You could always follow up with calls to check on the patient if he or she has taken their medications. But with mental health issues, you find more of emotional intelligence in it. There's a whole lot of patience that you have to exert as a counselor going through all that for a patient. So walk us through how it is like for you and your organization, and how have you been coping so far before we even come to some of the things we need to look out for to know that people or a person is suffering or going through mental health issues?
Yeah, thank you so much. That is the question. Most times, unlike physical illness, where you clearly see that somebody is sick, mental illness, you don't see that, you don't even know. The person look normal. And I think apparently that's why there is this huge neglect on mental issues, because you look normal, you look okay. And so why would they bother about you? You know? But then again, when you start dealing with people, you find out that the problem is like a chain. It leads from one to the other. It goes that way. It's just like when somebody starts looking aloof, start looking moping at you. These are signs that something is wrong. Now, you don't just leave that person to continue in that state, because from that state, it degenerates to another state. Before you know it, that's when you begin to have the issue of depression comes in. By the time the person is depressed, he begins to look for something that will help him come out of that depression. Somebody can introduce him to drug to make him feel high. That's addiction comes in. Before you know it, suicide is even coming in. So it's a chain. That's why the early mark, the warning signs should not be ignored at all. If there is any warning sign that somebody is exhibiting, you begin to address it, you begin to seek help from the professionals and that. And then for us as an organization, we have been able to, because we have the training, each time we have, depending on the case we know what to do, we know how to address it. We have had cases of drug addiction, we have depression, we have had suicide cases, we have had even different forms of addiction. It's not even just drug, sex addiction, and all of that. So each of these cases, there's always a link from one to the other. So that is why it is important to seek help early, so that it will be identified, the root cause of that problem will be discovered. And another thing I want to say again is that most people, the people have different skills. And these are the deceit. That's why somebody may find some of these signs happening to that person. He'll just snap out of it over time. But the other person will be unable to snap out of it because that person do not have that stronger coping skill like the other person. So it can be hereditary, it can be genital, it can also be environmental. So, but the issue is that for each person is unique, is different. You don't look at this person and judge this person. That's why if you see somebody who is stopping to eat or who have extremely high and low mood swings, these are indicators. Begin to address it and know the root cause of that mood swings so that it will be dealt with. Because for some other person, he could just snap out of it, but for this person, it might degenerate to suicide. So that's why we don't joke with any case. Each mental issue is a particular case that you have to address on its own. And as you deal with the person, you'll be able to find what the root cause is and how to help that individual.
Thank you very much. I'm beginning to get messages here. I'll read some from the other phone, but this one says, this is from Johnson Wiener. It says, exactly, Ma, you are saying the same thing I had in mind. Different strokes for different folks. This is from Johnson Wiener in Kaduna. Thank you very much, Johnson Wiener. So I like the fact, Ma, that you talked about how people have different mechanisms of coping. So, and that's why it's not a one size fits all. So, let me take a few more messages here, and then I'll get back to you for you to respond to some of them, and then you provide solutions to them. This one here is from Matthias Idris. It says, one's mental health is very, very important because it affects the overall output of that particular person. For example, depression often causes fatigue, trouble sleeping, lack of motivation, and even mood swings. One of the ways to tackle this issue is having a positive social interaction and reduced pressure. And then I got a second message here from Daniel Akojimil, and it says, suicide, to be precise, mostly come across one's mind who is depressed. Maybe things aren't working as planned, rejection, sickness without cures, etc. Most times, we neglect or underrate or underreact to signs from someone who is depressed. And before we know it, he or she has committed suicide. To tackle suicide, we must take immediate action to whomever shows suicidal symptoms. These symptoms could be self isolation, sleeplessness, or even talking about suicide. In a nutshell, suicidal symptoms shouldn't be taken for granted. This is from Daniel Akoji Mills. Ma'am, do you have any response to some of this before we go on?
Yeah. Of course, like in the recent times, we've seen a lot of suicide cases openly, and some of them not too many people are aware, especially during this pandemic. Now, another thing that the pandemic did was to remove the kind of life that we have, a situation where you'll be asked to stay indoors, you do not have to relate with somebody. We are meant for relationship. We are made to relate, to have
Commune
physical
with
contact.
others.
So that alone brought pressure on people. And then coupled with the fact that not enough funds available, some people were battling to even feed and all of that. This compounded the issue. Now, one thing about suicide is that it doesn't just start one day. First of all, before it gets to that, most signs that, like I said before, mood swings, not being able to eat, like that person said, and sleeping too much or not sleeping at all. These are signs. But one thing you have to know about it is that so the person comes to the point. There's three stages in suicide. The first point is helplessness. The person comes to the point he now thinks that I don't have any help again. I don't know what to do. When it comes to that stage, it moves again to the next stage of hopelessness. At times you can be helpless, but you're still hopeful that something
Mm,
can happen. When it
true.
gets you to that point of hopelessness, the last stage is worthlessness. You now think, what is my life after all? What am I living for? And that person goes ahead, begin. That's when suicidal thought comes. The ideas of you can do this, you can jump into the lagoon, you can do one thing or the other comes in. So there are stages.
In
That's why when you
phases.
see somebody becoming quiet, somebody who is always rigorous, outgoing, and suddenly withdrawn, isolated, and locking up, these are symptoms that something serious is happening. So you don't have to wait until you have heard that he didn't wake up or he didn't open his door again. Then he has committed suicide inside his own room. So these are the signs, and that is why we're emphasizing, sensitizing people. Look around you, look closely, your neighbors, your friends, your colleagues. How are they responding? Is there any changes in their life? We're even encouraging organizations to put their work staff through professional programs, workout programs, and all of that. All of these things will help in ameliorating the issues of mental problems around.
No,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. Yeah, in case you just joined us, the program is Shagalinku TV, the Saturday's edition, and today happens to be the 10th of October 2020, and we're commemorating the celebration of the World Mental Health Day. And I have with me a social worker, a consultant, and also an executive director of Center for Correction and Human Development, Lagos, Nigeria, lending our voice to talk about the issues of mental health. And we're looking at how we can stop depression, how we can also look at drug addiction, and then look at the mother of it all, suicide. She said something that some people might be helpless, but then there is hope. So when it gets to that point where people become hopeless, then it's just a trigger or a red flag to show that there's something wrong, and then people should begin to look out for things. Now, Madam Obioma, I like the fact you talked about the impact of COVID-19 on all of us, because, we are wired in a way that we are very outgoing people. So no matter how private we are, everyone has something to do, either to go to the workplace, to go to their religious gathering, to go get food, to go to the market, to go visit an aunt or somebody. So keeping people at home that long was also playing on their mental health and their status. So how do we come back now to we've also lost touch of a communal fellowship. So these days, people are building more walls over their houses. Way back, everyone knew their neighbor, everyone could relate with the next person, everyone knew who was around them. It was hard for a stranger to get into a community and not find and not being fished out immediately. But these days, everyone is like living to themselves, big gates in their houses. No one is even asking to know who is even in the next house. So how do we also begin to look out for help for people? Because sometimes it's easy to tell people, well, if you're going through mental health issues, seek for help, do this one, or if you're violated or you're going through this, do this. But the truth is, we know that when people get to that hopeless stage, there's really nothing much you can do to bring them in, because they just feel everyone hates them, every situation is bad for them. So how do we also, as people, begin to be our neighbors or our brother's keeper and begin to look out for such signs and also be able to help those people seek for help?
Okay, I think the best way to start is just from your known to unknown. Start with your close friends, your close colleagues, your close family members, those you relate with every day, your neighbors. Now, somebody on my page during that pandemic, she just wrote something on his page, and that he feels like committing. There was a way he put it, he didn't mention suicide. And for me, it was a pointer for me. I went to his inbox, I started chatting him up. This is somebody I've never really chatted up before, but he's a friend in my social media. So I started chatting him. I said, okay, why are you doing that? What's the problem? And he opened up to me. And of course, somebody jilted him, and all of that. I said, is that all why you want to take? And then he came out open that he feel like taking his life. He doesn't want to continue anymore. I took time with him. I even had to put up a call. He's not even a Nigerian, from Dominican Republic. I put up a call. I started talking to him. I had to do all of that because I saw a sign of something happening. So these are the ways we can. And you remember the UNN guy that drank diesel or something.
Yeah,
Now, long
yeah,
before that, he left a poem and died. The English student. I don't know if you remember the story.
yeah,
University
yeah,
of Nsukka student.
yeah,
Now, that guy, before that day, he had written, I guess he writes poems very well, had written this in different forms. Now, he also, that suicide note he left was a poem. He also wrote it, even on his Facebook page. Now, his friend also knew about it and was trying to counsel him not to do what he wanted to do. Now, what the friend didn't do right was that he should have escalated it. He should have
yeah.
called in a professional. He should have even alerted the
True.
parent or somebody, because he didn't have the capacity to deal with it, but he was trying to deal with it. And the boy eventually died. He drank, I don't know how many gallons of diesel he drank and all of that, from what I read up in the social media. And he died. Now, such things, we shouldn't take it for granted, and you shouldn't even try to be in an office you don't have the training or capacity to do. All you needed to do was to look for, there's no how you will seek around, you won't get, and call. So if it is your neighbor, if it is your friend, if it is a schoolmate, it doesn't even have to be your friend. It could even be an enemy. But whenever you discover that this person is towing this path, you do
Yeah,
something. What you can do is to recommend help. The person may not, and usually people like this, they don't accept help easily. You
true,
force help on
true.
them. So
Yeah.
what you now do is to find an authority or somebody who will prevail on that person to seek help. So these are the little ways we can help. You can talk to that person if you can, if the person listens to you. But if you don't have the capacity or what it takes to do that, you refer the person to profit. But all you need to do is to escalate it, and somebody will take it up from there. We can do something continue to go.
Okay.
So that's about that. That's what we can do as
Okay.
individuals.
Okay. So more messages are coming in here. Let me quickly read them, and then if you have responses for them, we'll take them. This is from Chief Ogbenyalu Udiala Okoye, all the way from Dublin, Ireland, and she says mental health issues should be taken seriously. It's no joke. Thank you so much, Chief, for joining us all the way from Dublin, and thank you for also contributing. This other one is from Frankie Bassi, and it says a lot of people take mental health with levity. If the mind is sick, everything about that person is sick. Depression is an immediate effect. The end result mostly heading to suicide. Amazing show, sir. Well, thank you so much, um, Frank Kebasi. Keep your messages coming. We still have a couple of minutes to go. We're looking at mental health issues today as we celebrate the World Mental Health Day, which comes every 10th of October. And we have here with us Madam Obioma Agoziem, the Executive Director of Center for Corrections and Human Development, Lagos, Nigeria. Now, ma'am, let's come back to your organization. What are some of the challenges you face? Because knowing so well, like you even said when we started the program, there's little or very or non-existent budget when it comes to mental health issue. I hear also that very few states invest in issues like this. So you find very few psychiatric hospitals in states, and it shows that government is not taking too much cognizance in all that. Take us through on some of the challenges you go through as an organization and what you think you can do to improve on all that.
Okay, thank you so much. One of the major challenges we are having is rehabilitation centers. Like now in Lagos, like I told you the other time, it's just only one psychiatric hospital now. And even after they have gone through psychiatric hospital, most of the time they also need a rehabilitation center to help them also to come back fully, and it's lacking. Now, as an organization, we've been struggling to put up our own rehabilitation center. We don't have the refunding, and we are asking people to fund this because let me tell you, let me shock you. If we get 10 calls in a day, 9 of those calls need rehabilitation center. That is how bad it is. And let me also tell you that in Lagos, we have 2 of them, and they are all church-based rehabilitation centers. And most of the time, when you call them, it's full. And until they graduate this set, they cannot bring in another set. And so you find parents looking helplessly, searching endlessly for rehabilitation centers that are not even there, or they will have to wait until the existing ones have to graduate those that are already in before the new ones can come in. So one major challenge that we need now is a rehabilitation center so that it can accommodate more people. And also, let me also say that this pandemic has also, it threw up a lot of things. A lot of young people took to drugs, a lot of them. You see, when they are idling away and they begin to take the things they are not supposed to take, schools have been shut down for months. They're just about starting. And these ones, and young people, they are active, they are vibrant, they need to be engaged. And if you can engage them positively, they will engage themselves negatively. So one challenge we have had is funding, and then of course rehabilitation center. Ours is up, is coming up. We are not yet done because we still want more funding to complete it and set it up. Then another challenge we also have, everything is circled around funding, because even if you look at in the state, most times like this year mental health week, we ought to have had a march. There are so many things we would have done, but looking around, I just felt okay. Companies are just coming out of COVID and all of that. It's not a good time. Now, most private companies, they do not find it interesting supporting mental health issues. They do not. Because the same company you have gone to support you, you find them throwing away money in entertainment recklessly.
you know, because they didn't find it necessary to support it. So the whole emphasis should be on support. Like I said, to this year is scaling up investment in mental health areas, and calling all the organizations, all the institutions, the government to support this work. So many people are hurting, so many people need help, so many individuals are already suffering in one way or the other. And remember, we have different kinds of mental illness, different bipolar and social anxiety disorder, so many things, there are so many. We are just focusing on this, there are so many of them. And so these are all, they are all needing help, they want help, they want assistance. And all of these things can be done if it's properly funded. Like my organization, we've been able to conduct a research with schools because we wanted to know how much or how far it has gone in secondary school. We did a research in selected secondary school in Lagos, in Kano, and in Port Harcourt. Honestly, it's frightening what we saw. A lot of young people are already, in fact, from the report, somebody as a student as young as 13, 14, 15, they are contemplating suicide from what we read from the report. And these are some of these reports can also be enhanced, can be carried on further if they are responsible. There's so much to be done in the mental health area, so much to be done. And we are pleading on with all the well-spirited individuals, with government, with public institutions, with companies. There's so much to be done. And let me say this before I end this particular one. The truth is that at times you just feel unconcerned because when you hear about drug addicts, it's them. But the thing is that they are risk to all of us because they are addicted to drugs. They do not know what they do. They can be taken as kidnappers. They can be taken as anything, and they will pose stress to us, the normal people. So these are the messages they will create more problems for all of us. So let's not think it doesn't concern me. Maybe my children, they are fine. My friends are okay. You don't even know who these addicts are. But they might just come to your door knocking and they are the robbers at your door. That is why all of us need to do something about these issues. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. I'll take one message here and I'll come back and ask you a very pertinent question. Let's even look at it's alarming, like you said, that from the research you guys did in secondary schools, you find even depression and suicidal attempts or lurings from even young people. This one is from Wokoma Beke. It says, good to see you climbing high on your journey towards the welfare of humanity. Keep up the momentum and congratulations. It's from Wokoma Beke. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, I'm getting some more messages here. In fact, two text messages are here. So let me quickly read them, then you respond to them. This one is from Anthony in Sokoto. It says, good afternoon time to you, Ambassador. Please help me ask your guest that what can we begin to do as individuals to get ourselves rid of mental health issues? That's from Anthony in Sokoto. And I got this other one here, and it's from Peter in Benin. Peter, hi. Thanks for joining us. It says, I'm watching you live from Benin. I'd like to also know that how can people begin to stop drug addiction? A lot of young people these days don't even take marijuana or cocaine anymore. What they do now is sniff the toilet, grind lizards feces, and so many other things like solutions and the rest. What can we do? Question for your guest. Okay, over to you, ma'am.
Okay, yeah. Right now, there's even more dangerous from crystal meth too. This is where they mix chemicals together. That is the one that is on now, seriously. And one dangerous thing about crystal meth is that it under 1 month it can mess up a young man. Just 1 month. That's how terrible it can be. And they go violent, they shout, they do all sorts of terrible things. So what we can do is still sensitization, like we are doing now, sensitizing them. And another thing we can do also is to immediately you notice something, you refer them. Don't even try to manage. One thing that I discovered again is that families, they tend to hide it because of stigmatization. You know, they tend to hide it. They want to manage it by themselves. They don't want anybody to know that their son or daughter is going through this. It doesn't help. Even if they know, it's not the point. The important thing is that your son or your daughter is free from addiction. So because they tend to manage it, they hide it for some time, and the thing aggravates. And before you know it, that situation gets bad. So that's what happened. That's what I've discovered. And another issue is that you find out that, like a lady, a woman called me. It was her own husband, and I really pitied her because she was running around. Now, usually, if it is a son, you find the both parents running around. Now, when it's the husband, the woman was just running around. So what the immediate thing to do is to seek help. Seek help. If possibly, check them into a rehabilitation center. That's why we're emphasizing so much on rehabilitation center. Now, if you discover a boy or young man going through this and bring him into a rehabilitation center, that alone is a measure, because you're taking him away from that polluted environment, from that environment where he has easy access to drugs and all of those things, and put him up in a center where he doesn't even have access to drugs, and with all the treatment going on. By the time that person comes back, he's better. And what we advise them, that if that person is back, you now move him entirely from that environment. Don't reintroduce him to the environment that caused the problem before. So you find that issues of mental health is expensive, even for families. Now, if you tell a father to, it now means that they're going to pack out of that environment to another environment. It's expensive. That's why we need to nip it on the bud by not allowing them to get involved. And look at in your neighborhood. If you find people selling, there's this local one that is very around, is in sachet form, although that one is not is alcohol, but it also affect their brain. Those ones, it can be reported. All of us will do something about it. All hands need to be on the deck. If you find all those people selling all of those things, report it, because if it's reported, they will stop or be arrested. Because if you just think it doesn't concern you, you might just come back falling on your laps again. So these are the little things we can do. We report these cases, we refer them to professionals, we check them into rehabilitation centers. We also report individuals, selling or those things in different areas. And then you can invite groups like us, like we also do outreaches. We go to such areas to talk to them and recover those we can recover. In fact, the work is enormous, and everything about the work is funded. That's why too, as an individual, if you don't know what to do, just fund this project. If you sow a seed into this project, you're even sowing something away from your family. So if you don't know what to do, look for organizations like us, donate some money, use it for this one, because you don't know what you're doing, even for your own generations unborn. These are different ways people can help in fighting this menace. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're wrapping up soon. It's been wonderful having Madam Obioma Agoziem talk with us. But before she goes, I'd like you to also tell us how you can be reached, how your organization can be reached, if there are emails, websites, social media handles, phone numbers dedicated. Just let us know, because the truth about this matter is that, like you said, it's a seed that is being sown. So let's not be, it's not until when it escalates and everyone cannot sleep anymore, then we start running around, and then government is budgeting money for security and all that. So how can people reach you?
You can reach us in our social media page, www.facebook.com/Center for Corrections and Human Development. You meet us there. You can also reach my own personal page, Obioma Agoziem, on Facebook. We are in Twitter. We are located in Lagos, 39 Bode Thomas Street, Surulere. And you can reach us with this number, 081-8451-5808. You can reach us with this number. We're also in Twitter. We're also in all the social media platforms. But more importantly, our website is www.cchdnigeria.org. www.cchdnigeria.org. This is our website. You can go out there and check all that we have done. We have We have done a lot of work on these mental health issues. We have gone to schools, sensitizing them. We have trained teachers. We are partnering with Lagos State Ministry of Education. We're also partnering with Ministry of Justice. We have done a lot. We have sensitized students. We have trained teachers so that they can also in turn train their students. So these are the different things we have done. We have carried out research. So you can work with us directly. You can reach us on this number 081 8451 5808. Let me take it again, 081 8451 5808. This is our number, or through our website, our Facebook pages. You can see all that we are doing so that you can support this. You don't have to wait until it happens to somebody you know. I know a lot of, in fact, there was one retired judge, let me say this, in the university, in private, it be sure that private university, there's one particular private university, it looks like, when I now asked the boy, so how did you get into it? He said that it's commonly taken there, that as soon as you land in school, they introduce you to it, and parents pay. I don't want to mention the kind of school fees they pay there.
Fortune.
And you know, you come out, your child comes out with this. So these are people that can support this work, so that even in there we can carry campaigns in such places and help them to bring such, because what some of them do is they just expel them, and that is it. That's what they do, which is not entirely good on its own. They need to be helped. Some of them, like one boy that I counseled, he was just taking Refinol, and he kept taking it until the thing disorganized him. Some of them take tramadol, codeine, is not even marijuana or anything. They just take it and then, like somebody pointed out, some of them take all of this, so that there's one private university, as you're coming in, they will test you for drugs. Now, do you know that some of these ones they take, like gum or lizard poo and all of those things? Those ones, when you do test, it doesn't show negative, it doesn't show positive.
Positive.
That's the problem with some of them. So even when you test them, it doesn't show positive. Meanwhile, they get all the highs, they get all the euphoria, and all of those things is there. They are already in addiction already, but it's not showing. So these are the dangers or the subtlety of some of these things, that there's nothing now in the name of hard drugs. And that is why we need to, and then parents should also look in, because you find out that even when they come back on holidays, you look down. A woman brought his son. Up till that day, he didn't notice anything. But he said that his friend called her that he should take his son for counseling. He said they had asked her, and he said he's not. So when I now started talking to the guy, he opened up and told me everything. So even when you live with them in the house, some parents do not even know, because they will never agree that they are doing it. So, but anything you notice, if the child is always locking himself up, is an indication. You sniff and know why he's always locking himself up. If he's not eating when other people are eating, you find out why. Because some of them use it and when you finish eating, they'll bring their Indomie and use this thing and cook it. So these are the things you see. They are normal signs, but when you see it, if it's always now moody, not laughing again, not as spoken as it used to be, start finding out. If you can't find out, take that person to a counselor who will be able to find out what is going on. These are the small ways we can also come in as parents, as guardians, to help our world.
Okay. I wish we could just go on and on and on and on. It's always a delight every time we talk with you, and you always give us very shocking but realistic issues and situations. Sometimes they are very pathetic, but then we can't shy away from them if we must save humanity. And I know we might have to have you again to talk about some other angles that we couldn't really cover today. But then, yeah, we are celebrating the World Mental Health Day, and this is our little contribution in also commemorating and lending our voices to issues of depression, drug addiction, suicide, and all that. And it's been a pleasure having you, Ma. So, one final word in 1 minute. What would you like to say finally as we wrap up the show, either for the society, You've talked for the parents and all that, but what will be your word for the government and everyone watching?
Yes, my own word, or rather, let me make it one sentence to the government is please support mental health. To the corporate institution, please support mental health. To families, there's a lot of families can do. If you have money to throw around, support organizations like us for mental health. And then to friends, check out your friends, check out your neighbors, find out what is happening to them. Know that something is happening, like the couple that killed himself and his wife. It's not okay, it's not normal. So let us look out for our neighbors and just make a report. They might not even know who reported them. They just make a report. And you can report to organizations like us, and then we can in turn go to police and probably visit them with police. There are ways we work depending on the seriousness or the peculiarity of each situation. But what I'm saying summarily is that let all hands be on deck. Everybody can do something about this problem. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Okay. Thank you so much, madam. And this is the size of our program. I want to thank everyone who joined us. I want to also thank our guest, talking about Mrs. Obioma Evelyn Agoziem. She's the Executive Director of Center for Corrections and Human Development, Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you for being there to also lend your voice. And thank you for the work you do, in spite of not getting the financial reward, so to say, to back it up. In the little you get, you still find a way of doing all this. I tell you, humanity and posterity will never forget you. I want to also thank all our viewers, everyone who joined us, everyone who sent us messages, and those who've been supporting us on this program. Thank you all for finding time to always join, to also make sure that we're always live on here by paying some of the bills for us. I also want to thank Mr. Chris all the way from London, who is always supporting us and making sure the episodes come out the way it is. To all our crew members on Shagalinku TV, thank you all for joining us. And finally, don't forget to always also like our YouTube page. We really need you to like that and click on the subscription button, because that's the only way you can get to join us here every time we're here. And don't forget to also activate the notification button. That way, once we're live, it triggers on and lets you know that we're live, and then you can join us. From all of us here, this is saying thank you all for joining, and have a beautiful Saturday and enjoy the rest of the weekend. But remember, touch a life and make sure you put a smile on someone's face, because the truth is, even when you say, consign me, what goes around might surely come around. My name is Ambassador Emmanuel Dabari, thanking you all for joining us. And till we see on Tuesday for a fresh edition of the program, God bless you all. And remember to touch a life and be good to everyone you see, because, like I say, what goes around comes around. I'll see you all on Tuesday, God willing. Bye bye.